Vicki von Toggenburg, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So Vicki, talk to us a bit about yourself. I know that you've got right-sided microtia, but if you tell us your story and your experiences with microtia.
Yeah, so I'm 20 and I'm in uni right now and I study art direction, so I'm in the creative industry. And I'm originally from Switzerland. So I moved to the UK for university, yeah.
And what are you studying at university?
Art direction.
And what does that involve?
It's a really difficult thing to explain, but it's just kind of being like a creative director and working on a lot of different projects.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So you have right-sided microtia, so talk to us a bit about that and your experience.
Yeah, so I mean, I was born with it, and yeah, I don't really know. It's been an interesting thing recently. I've kind of tried to understand it a bit more, and um, yeah, just kind of like think about it in terms of my identity, because it is kind of a part of my identity. But I think as a child, I always tried to ignore that in a way.
In what way?
I think I just really wanted to be normal and like fit in with everyone else. So I think I kind of just didn't want to think about it as like a disability because it doesn't have to be if you don't want it to be. Yeah, I I think I struggled quite a bit as a child, but now I feel like it's just the way it is, and I
Part
can't.
of you. It's who you
Yeah,
are. And you've embraced it, which is amazing. Some people really struggle with that. Were you bullied at school?
not too much. I like a bit of teasing was always involved, or like trying to whisper in like the wrong ear and like see if I could hear it, but it wasn't nothing ever too bad. I think it's interesting, obviously, because it's like it's not really an invisible disability. You do see it. So I think most people at some point always like found out about it and then thought it was like a funny thing. But it was never anything like too bad.
And so you got no hearing on your right side, on your microtia side?
Yeah, no, nothing.
Nothing at all, same as me.
Yeah,
And then what about your left side? Have you got full hearing on your left side?
I would hope so. I haven't really had any issues with it.
Have you had hearing tests for your left side?
Not in a very long time, but I think it was always fine. Like nothing to worry about.
Did that impact you at school or?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, because you always have to um, like understand what the teachers are saying, and I think I realized that like I have to think about certain things that other people never have to think about, like where I'm gonna sit in the classroom, and also a bit of like lip reading and trying to just like having to hear people is such a big thing, and I think I didn't realize how other people don't have to always think about these things. But I think it wasn't too bad. I I think you just learn how to like deal with it, and sometimes if I just couldn't hear anything, I just pretended I did.
Same. I know exactly I know the feeling. I would agree to a lot of things that I've heard, but actually not really know what I'm agreeing to. Just like, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So at school, for example, did you need assistance from the teachers apart from sitting in the front of the class? How was that for you?
I actually hated to sit in front of the class, so I just sat in the back, and I never really needed them to know, but there were a few times where I would just let them know if I was not paying attention or if I wasn't answering their questions. And I just told them, yeah, like I sometimes just cannot hear people. But I think I really just wanted to be seen as like completely normal. So I just was just trying to fit in with everyone else and like not let it affect me, I
That's
guess.
really interesting. Do you think, looking back, if you told them about your microtia, that would have helped you at school, or do you think it was fine anyway, and that it didn't have any kind of impact on you?
I think it definitely did, but for me, because I went to an English school, um, so I went into first grade in English, but I didn't speak any English. So I was really more struggling with just learning.
Poor you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone else was learning how to read or learn anything really. I just first had to learn the language. So I think I always felt a bit behind in the first few years of school. So like my hearing wasn't the biggest issue, but obviously looking back now, I do see how that definitely affected quite a bit of it as well.
And then, because usually, Vicky, what happens is children, and I'm sure you already know this as well, they if the parents want their children to have surgery, reconstructive surgery, that usually happens between the ages of 4 and 7. Don't quote me on that, but roughly.
Yeah.
And then some parents also decide they would prefer for their child to wait until they're a bit older. What was it like in your case with your parents? Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, I actually talked to my dad about it yesterday.
Oh,
I didn't like we didn't really talk about it that much, but they just said that they always wanted everything to be my decision, and they didn't want to influence that too much. But obviously, looking back, I feel like they could have a bit, but at the same time, because I never got any reconstruction surgery, or I never even really knew about it. And I think in a way I'm kind of grateful for that because it didn't make it seem like, oh, you need this, or you have to change something about yourself. And like so in that way I feel like it was kind of good. But now that because I never even imagined the possibility of being able to hear on my right side. And then recently I discovered, oh, there are ways I could hear. So now I am like thinking about it a little bit.
so you're thinking about maybe having surgery to correct the hearing aspect. And
Yeah.
then what about the actual, the reconstructive part of the ear? Would you consider that, or you don't want to do that?
Yes, interesting. I don't know. I think if as a teenager and when I was kind of like in the tween years, I think I would have really wanted that. But now I don't really see a point in it, and I think it's kind of like cool. It's like something
It's
different.
super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't think I ever hated the way it looked. I was just like, oh, it could look maybe more symmetrical. Um, but yeah, no, I didn't, and I don't think I would ever consider it because I don't really see much of a benefit in my life. Yeah.
They were sunglasses or glasses.
Yeah, they're a little bit crooked, but
But you hook them up. You can hook them up into your hair.
yeah, no, true. But I think I have enough ear for it to, because I was also able to pierce my ears a few years ago, which I didn't think I could, but obviously I can. I just like never considered it. But yeah, no, I feel like I can do most things. It's just either a bit more difficult or it looks a bit different, I guess.
Different is beautiful. So
Yeah.
you touched on ears and you touched on lip reading. Have you always known that you can lip read, or did you discover that during the pandemic? Like most of us with Microtia. Well, I did
With
anyway.
the masks. Yeah, I thought that was really stupid when that came around because I
That
was
was so annoying.
yeah, because I didn't think about it too much because I saw it more as an eye contact thing that I like to like look at people really when they speak. But
Yeah.
then yeah, I did realize at some point I was like, okay, I do use my eyes a lot to understand sound, especially also just in general when I'm around people or just around sounds. I use my eyes to hear, basically.
Yeah, same. And
Yeah,
then so during the pandemic when they were wearing the masks, did you struggle with that because you rely on lip reading?
a bit. Especially also because then it's all a bit more mumbly anyway, and that doesn't help.
Have you ever met anyone else with Microtia, except for me, of course?
You're
Never.
actually the first person I've had a real conversation with Microtia. It's
It's
great.
so funny because, and I'm honored by the way, Vicky. It's so funny because lots of people who've been on this podcast, they say the same thing when they meet someone with Microtia. They find it weird. Do you find it weird?
Yeah, I always just thought this was like a weird little thing that I go through, and that it's just like no one else. But apparently, when I was 4 years old, I was somewhere at a gas station with my grandparents, and this woman came up to us and was like, "Oh, I see that your granddaughter has the same ear as me." Well, obviously, I don't remember that, but
You're so
Apparently
young.
it, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's funny because it's this unseen. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel that I know how you feel, and you know how I feel because we both
Yeah.
have the same thing. And it's kind of one of those things as well that it's very hard to explain to people who don't have microtia what it's really like and how it really feels.
And I really want them to know, but I know that they're not gonna understand it fully.
Well, that leads me on to my next question. It's not really a question, but you're working on a really exciting project at the moment, aren't you? Would you like to tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so because my course is quite creative and they really want us to have kind of a voice of our own and like in a way, yeah, like a reason to create art. And then I thought about it for a while and I thought about it as well when I was a child. I would try and find any sorts of representation online about microtia or people who are like partially deaf or half deaf, and I found nothing. And then I thought about it like for my final year, and I thought, what if I make a film about this? Because I just feel like it's not really a thing that's talked about, especially because I grew up in such a small town where being different was just like not really like a thing that was ever spoken about. And then, yeah, so for this year, I decided to make a short film kind of about the experience of being half deaf and like kind of showing it to people who aren't half deaf, what it may feel like through kind of points of view shots, and then also like talking to people with Microtia. So I have been in touch with Microtia UK, and through them I found two children that I'm gonna do like kind of a documentary thing about as well. So yeah, I'm very excited.
No, it's so exciting, and it's great to see more of this because it it's just, I felt the same. That's why I created this podcast, because I don't feel that there is that much out there. There is, but nothing that I feel is, sometimes to see things, i.e. what you're doing, like a short film, it's different. It's also more reassuring to say parents of children with microtia to actually see something like that versus, I always say this on every recording, going down a rabbit hole on Google and looking at, what is microtia, and it's just not helpful. So it's amazing that you're doing this.
Yeah, and I think I feel really happy that I'm doing this because it feels like such a personal thing. Yeah, I know a lot of other people can relate to these issues, not just people with microtia, but also people who are partially deaf or people who kind of feel like they have a partial disability. Because I don't know if it's the same for you, but I always struggled to know if I was disabled, like between disabled and able-bodied, because I, I know you shouldn't compare yourself to other people, but whenever I thought of disabled people, I thought, okay, well, I'm fine. Like, but then I also was like, I'm not completely normal and like able-bodied. And I think that's also something I really wanted to do with this film. And I'm also writing my dissertation on a similar topic because I just think it's such a interesting thing that is just really, it's not black and white at all. It's like it's great.
It's, it's in the middle, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the identity around it. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, it's where do we fit? And sometimes people like to put people in boxes, and even we do that ourselves. So it's, am I this or am I that? But
Mm-hmm.
maybe we just have to create a new box for ourselves, and that's us.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I feel like doing a film like this is like a start for that, and like also knowing that you have a podcast about this is so cool. And like
Have you watched a lot of the episodes on the podcast?
yeah. Yeah, no,
It,
it's so great to see.
it's funny because, each episode is so great in its own way, and everyone has their own unique story. And one of the things that I always say is there's such a power in sharing stories. And sometimes with saying, I don't want to call microtia a disability, but it is a disability. And sometimes people can feel shy, they don't want to talk about it, they might not have spoken about it at all. Some of them on the show, they are speaking for the very first time. But there is such a power in sharing stories, and it does help so many families, parents in the same position. And it actually, I receive messages all the time from parents, which I love because it keeps me and inspires me to keep going. And it's not just me, it's all of you guys that, that have come on the podcast, but it helps them so much because we normalize microtia, so that means that they can speak about it more confidently.
Yeah.
And the more we talk about this, the more that they won't feel embarrassed, and that it's not as bad as what it seems to be. And it's so funny because when I speak with you, you're like, yeah, it's okay, I'm not that bothered. This is me. And it's amazing.
No, that's not true.
It's great.
Yeah, and it is frustrating. It's just, I guess you just have to just try your best and like see the positive, even if it is so frustrating a lot of the time.
So with the documentary that you're currently working on, what are the things that you're trying to show people? So for example, what are the messages that you're trying to show a non-microtia person with, say, the daily struggles of someone with microtia? What are those types of messages so people can understand?
Yeah, like for one, I really want to sorry, I keep moving on.
That's all right.
For one, I think I want to show that everyone goes through different experiences all the time, and you can't just assume someone is, I don't know, ignoring you or being dumb or something. You always have to consider that people have different sensory experiences or experiences in general. And I think that's like my main message, to be compassionate for people and to understand that you may not know what they're going through, and that you just have to consider that when you are around these people. So not just disability, but just in general.
And to the people who are listening, what is the message that you would like to send to them if you had to give them some advice about dealing with a person with microtia from your experience? What would your message be?
Ooh, that's a big one.
Be nice.
Yeah, I think I just be like nice about it. And I think also, this might be a random thing, but I have found a lot of the time when I've mentioned it to people, they really want to dismiss it very quickly because they think it might be a very sensitive topic or just something you don't want to talk about. But I found from myself, and I'm sure a lot of people share this, that we do want to talk about it because it does affect our lives. And I feel like a lot of the time, anything in that realm is mentioned, everyone's just like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, no, but then you still don't understand me if you're just like, yeah, if you don't actually try and talk about it. So I feel like if someone does mention this, you can ask them how they feel about it or how their experiences are. Yeah, I think that's kind of that. And obviously be kind.
Well, yeah, obviously be kind too. But Vicki, with all of your experiences so far today with microtia, would you say you've had some negative experiences?
Definitely, yeah. And I think it kind of comes from the fact that I realized all the time I have to think about so many things all the time. And a lot of things are so much more challenging for me than for a normal hearing person. And I think that's quite frustrating a lot of the time. Like, one thing that really annoys me is that if I'm walking in a group of people, I always have to be on the edge. So I never feel like I can be in the middle of anything. Or on tables, I always have two sides to sit on, and I feel like I'm never fully as included as I want to be. So that's a bit frustrating. And obviously, like daily, whenever I walk with people, I always have to switch sides with them.
Which sides?
I might have to cough quickly.
Don't I cough? It's fine.
And sometimes when I'm walking with people, I don't want to always have to mention, oh, sorry, can we switch sides because I can't hear you or something. So it does get quite annoying, I think. And I think just because it is normal when you're obviously born with it, you don't know anything else. The thing that makes it annoying is that other people don't understand it, and that like, I guess society and like the world wasn't really made for us. And that, I think that's the frustrating part, that I realize every day, like, okay, I always have to think about these things. and other people don't. And I think that's a bit annoying.
And well, yeah, because would you say every day is a daily struggle for you to manage that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things are just normal, but I think, yeah, every day I do get a bit frustrated, especially when I'm around a lot of people or I'm moving around a lot and then always having to analyze where I'm going, what I'm doing, or also just being scared of missing something. Because I feel like I often am like somewhere and then I'm like, oh, I might not hear this happening, or I might not hear this car, or I don't know, everything. I don't love that.
What do you love about it?
About being half deaf.
Yeah. Is there anything to love about it? There is for me.
There is.
Yeah, I love that I can actually ignore people.
Yeah,
Or I
no,
love that fact that I can, sorry, let me rephrase that. I like the fact that I can pretend that I didn't hear something. So it's selective hearing.
no, sometimes I do that, which is a bit bad. But it's great. Like sometimes you just have to do that. Or
My
when you
darling other half, he always says, "Did you hear that, Sasha?" I say, "No, I didn't hear." He said, "You did." I'm joking around. I mean, I've used that in the past as an excuse. There's another positive that I sleep on. I call it my good side, which is my left side.
I was just gonna
That's
mention,
the best.
and then you hear nothing happening, and it's great. Because I found if I sleep, I can hear my heartbeat sometimes though. If I sleep on my like good ear, I don't know if that's what people experience every day.
I don't know because I'm the same as you, but I do know that sleeping for me, I can just go onto my good side and I hear nothing, which is great.
Yeah.
That is a positive.
Or just like sometimes when I was in school, I would just like lean my head like this or like this at the table, and then I was just not hearing anything if I was just not in the mood.
I just wanted to ask you, Vicki, about technology, but we touched on that earlier that you don't wear any hearing aids. You're considering the possibility of looking into maybe having a hearing aid on your Microtia side, but you're not quite sure yet.
Because do you have a hearing aid?
No. So I have same as you, right-sided Microtia, but I don't have a hearing aid on that ear. But what I do have, and it's a recent thing by the way, is so I have 50% hearing on my left side, and I've had that from birth. So I have what you have, but then just half the hearing on the left side.
Oh no.
So I know, but I for my whole life I've been completely unassisted, not had any hearing aids. And
Wow.
then again, all thanks to my other half, he literally, and it's also because of the podcast, because I had Harley Street Hearing on the podcast and they were going through hearing aids. And he said to me, Sasha, why don't you consider having a hearing aid?
Mm-hmm.
And I was so dismissive and combative to the idea.
Yeah.
No. And then, no joke, I think probably went on literally for every week. Have you made your hearing aid appointment? And I would say, no, I haven't. I'll do it next week. Okay. And he was so persistent that this went on for maybe 3 months. In the end, I succumbed and just thought, right, I'll make the appointment, but I'm not having one. So I was adamant I'm not having one. So I went to the appointment, and then I just got naturally quite curious. To cut a long story short and fast forward, I do now have a hearing aid. It's one that goes behind the ear here, and it's changed my life. And I'm not saying that to promote hearing aids. This podcast is not sponsored by any hearing aid company. Genuinely, it really has, because it's taken me from 50% hearing on my good side, my non-Microtia side, to around 80-90%.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll give you like, literally, I hated it when I had it first put in. In fact, I cried. I'm embarrassed to say that on the podcast, but it's true. I hated it.
How come?
And I remember I was sat at a table and I peeled a banana and I heard the skin peel for the first time.
Oh,
And
really?
oh my gosh.
Oh my God, wow, yeah. So
Yeah.
many little sounds.
Yeah. And so I started, my audiologist said, to make a sound diary, and I started to hear sounds for the first time. That's why I asked you earlier if you've had your non-microtia ear checked, because I'm
Hmm.
interested to see if you've got full hearing on your non-microtia side.
Yeah, I don't think it's full hearing, but I think it's actually now I'm really questioning things. But I think no, I think it's pretty good. I don't think I have too many issues with that.
It's always good to get it checked. I'm not saying run out and get a hearing aid, but for me, I wouldn't. Obviously, I'm still deaf on my right side, and it's not full hearing on my left side, but it certainly does help me in certain situations.
Yeah. How come you didn't want a hearing aid?
On
Uh,
my microtia side,
no, on your good side, I guess.
yeah, I call it my good side too. Don't worry. Yeah, I call it my good side. Because the same as you, Vicky, when I grew up, I was the same as you. I saw myself as a normal, fully hearing person, if that might
Yeah.
sound weird. I
Yeah.
didn't really give it that much attention. I did get bullied at school, but I just got on with life, just like what you're doing, and I just didn't really think about it. And really, and it's only really down to my other half now that I have the hearing aid, because if it wasn't for him really pushing me to do it, I wouldn't have done it, and I'd still be sat here. And now when I look back, I struggled in so many situations when I didn't have to, but I think it's just because I saw myself like everyone else, similar to you. And so I don't feel that I ever allowed my microtia to limit me in anything. If anything, it made me more, especially as I got older and started to understand it more, it just made me definitely more resilient, but more determined to be just like a normal person. And I hate to use this word normal because,
Yeah.
we've used it a few times in this episode, but that's a big part of microtia. It's you want to be normal.
Hmm.
And I think part of the acceptance is no one's normal. Show me a
Exactly.
normal person.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the first thing. And then accepting yourself for who you are. And I also think as well, getting help when you need help, if you need help.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because what you said about kind of feeling resilience and stuff, I think a lot of the time, sometimes I can just be proud of myself for doing something when I know, oh, other people don't have to struggle or have to think about this as much as I do. And then I can be okay, I can be proud of that. At least I can do things that other people don't have to do, and I can do them and I can still do other things and feel kind of normal. And I think that's a nice thing sometimes.
Well, it's a gorgeous thing, because if you think about, and let's go back to this lovely word normal, a
Yeah.
fully hearing person, they don't struggle as much as, say, a non-fully hearing person. So you have to always adapt, and it's more energy, isn't it? It's harder. So in that case, if we look at it comparatively, it's definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And it's not just that as well. It's the fact that it's taking something that for so long has been seen in or has been talked about, or by how people respond to it. It's quite negative, isn't it? And
Hmm.
I think it's taking something and actually turning it into a positive, which is what it is, because to be different is unique.
Yeah.
And who
Yeah.
doesn't want to be unique?
No, exactly. Yeah, I feel like that was always something I liked because I was okay, I don't have to try and be unique. I have something that makes
You
me
are.
okay. Yeah.
And to be unique is beautiful. And I think times have changed a bit, because differences, especially facial differences,
Hmm.
um, they can be seen in that, that they weren't as celebrated as they are now.
No.
Now it's really celebrated to be different. And I love
Yeah. Yeah, because actually, in my dissertation, I also talk about kind of deaf representation and disability in film. And it's really sad. A lot of the stuff I was reading was how most of the time disabled people of any kind, in any kind of genre, they either play the victim or they're the monster, like historically, or they're the people who are unlovable or ugly, or all of these like very stereotypical things that society has built up. And I feel like that is changing in film a lot now, but it's interesting to see like how it really used to be and how disabled people have been treated, and how they have been portrayed in the media and just in society.
That's really sad
Yeah.
because they want to be equal and given a chance. Because they're all there. If people, it's equal opportunities, isn't it, for everyone, regardless of abilities or lack of. So here's the other thing. I don't see it as a disability. I see it as an ability.
Okay. I mean,
And
yeah, I like that.
I remember I got asked to do a talk once, and it was under this they called it the Disability Network. And I said I didn't want to do it because it's got a negative connotation attached to it. So I got them to change now they call it the Ability Network. So it's just much
Oh,
more positive.
yeah.
So I just feel like with Microtia or anything else for that matter, it doesn't need to be so negative all the time. And don't get me wrong, Vicki, there's been times when I've grown up and I've been so negative about my Microtia. So, this whole, I don't think it stops either. I'm still learning, and it's about, I think self-acceptance is a huge part of this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think actually with that I really didn't struggle too much, and I think it's also considering, if we're using this word again, disability. I think I always saw myself as it's not like a super bad disability. So I never saw disability as a negative thing, because I grew up also with my parents. They always took me to these retreats because they were part of this humanitarian group, and there were a lot of disabled people there, like in wheelchairs and stuff, and I always just had a great time with them. So I never saw disability really as a problem, or like, I don't know, everyone just seemed really happy, and like I didn't have that bad connotation, I think. Because yeah, and with that I'm really like lucky and grateful that I got to have that, because I just never saw it as a negative thing. And when other people did, I was like, okay, well, you're just stupid.
Yeah, you tell them, Vicki.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you just really quickly as well, with your parents, when you grew up, were they really supportive? Obviously they were supportive, but how did they talk to you about your Microtia, and how did they approach it with you?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think we talked about it that much. They kind of just treated me as if I was normal. And then they left room for me. Sometimes I would just be like, okay, I feel like I'm a bit different. What's this all about? And then they would let me talk about it. And then I think their approach with everything was just kind of letting me discover these things, talking to them about it, and them just kind of listening and understanding the way I perceived it. And then I feel like I kind of did that all on my own, but through their support in a way. And like, because I was around disabled people, I was never around any deaf people or partially deaf people or anything. But besides that, I was around a lot of disabled people, if we're using that word. So yeah, I think in that way, that was really nice.
So before we wrap up this podcast, because I know that you're busy, if a parent of a child who has Microtia is listening, and you had to give them any words of advice, what would it be?
Oh, another big one. Yeah, I would just kind of say support your child. Also, don't. I think if I think you can understand if a child is um, stressed about something, or if they worry about something, and then just kind of reassure them. And I think, trying to treat them as normal as you can, because I think children are always kind of very honest. So if they are annoyed about something or struggling with something, they usually talk about it. So I feel like, or you can see it. And I feel like just letting them feel quite normal helps, and just like supporting them. Because I think one thing I think would also be very good is kind of finding a community, because I did not have that growing up. I mean, you're the
Same.
person I'm talking to with Microtia. So I think if there is something like, for example, the charity, Microtia UK or something, I think that would be a really nice thing because I never, I also could, as a child, I couldn't imagine an adult with microtia because I was like, I don't know what that is, or like maybe I'm just gonna get my hearing at that point or something. So I think, yeah, just finding a community, um, or especially people of the same age or something that could be, I think that could be really useful for a lot of kids.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, Vicky. And we love Microtia UK. I went to one of their events this year actually and did a talk.
Oh, really?
And I met so many people with Microtia. Yes. Felt like family. You should come next year. Have you been before?
No,
Okay.
but
Shout out to Microtia UK. We love you.
yeah,
Come next year, Vicky.
yeah.
Okay. And finally, where can we watch your documentary? Where can we see that once it's finished?
Ooh. I think because I want it to be as public as possible and like open to everyone, I think I'm gonna upload it to YouTube and all those like platforms. So I think it's gonna be everywhere. I'll plaster it everywhere.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah,
And if the viewers and the listeners would like to get hold of you, what's the best way?
I think through my email.
But I'll put Vicky's details if any of you want to get in touch with her in the show notes below. And Victoria, it's been an absolute pleasure. I know that we've been trying to do this for quite a while now.
Yeah,
And I'm so excited for your project. I can't wait to see it.
thank you.
Thank you for coming on today. By the way, one thing before we go, have you ever spoken about your microtia publicly like this before?
No, no, not really.
Okay, well done, because I know it must have felt quite daunting or scary, or probably for you, you're so confident, maybe not, but
Really? Did I give that vibe?
you gave that vibe.
Oh, thank you.
And you're so inspiring because other people will watch it and see you and see how confident you are and how you're owning every part of yourself in such a brilliant way that it can only inspire others. So it's really wonderful.
Oh, no,
What did your dad say when you told him you were coming on the podcast?
he he thought it was quite funny, and he thought, yeah, this could be a great thing because I think I never speak about it in such detail because I also don't want to bore people or something. But I think, yeah, I felt really good about doing this, and like it feels like being able to actually be more in touch with myself through actually speaking about these things.
Yeah, I'm so grateful you did as well, because it's, every story is unique.
Hmm.
And the more we share these stories, the more it helps other people. So, guys, send some nice comments to Vicky when the episode is out. And Vicky, it's an absolute pleasure. And we'll stay in touch. And thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.